Which one is better? Hi, I'm Disciplined Dave, where I put the technique in your physique. Now you may be watching this video because you're trying to purchase some bands and don't know which ones to get. Which ones are better? So in this video, we're gonna go over the differences, the pros and cons, my final thoughts, and what do I use daily to get results? Now, before we get into it, if you are new to the channel, my channel is dedicated to all things resistance bands. So not only am I gonna go over the differences, I have plenty of workouts with loop bands and tube bands. So if you have those and you're new to the channel, just go ahead and check out my playlist. I have many workouts on both set of bands. But today, we're gonna go over which one is better. Now let's talk about the differences. Loop bands are exactly like they sound. They go in a complete loop. They do not disconnect in any way. And usually they do not come with handles. Now on the flip side, the tube bands, they are ones that usually have carabiner hooks on the end where you can attach multiple attachments like handles or ankle straps. And they also usually come in a variety of different type of resistance weight sizes that you'll see on there. And the shape of the bands, they're usually gonna be a kind of a circular all the way linear where it has like a hollow middle into it. So imagine like a water hose that has attachments to get you strong and fit. Those are the tube style bands. Now each of these bands are gonna have pros and cons, so let's go over those differences. Now loop bands are really good for heavy lifting. So if you're intermediate to advanced when it comes to resistance bands, it's great for those types of individuals. They don't normally come with attachments. So if you're a person who doesn't have any type of place to put a door anchor or just have a door period, loop bands are really good for that. And because they don't come with a lot of attachments, they're really good for traveling. Usually loop bands are my go-to when I travel because it makes the bag less heavier. I don't have to worry about leaving other equipment there. So that's the great thing about loop bands. In addition, when you're looking at costs, for the good quality bands, and I definitely recommend good quality bands because you don't want a band to snap on you or anything like that. For the good quality bands, they're usually cheaper than the tube style bands. So that's another good pro when it comes to the loop style is that they're usually lower in cost. For instance, like the Undersun resistance bands, which I find to be great quality bands, you can find them about $78, $79 right now, and that's gonna last you a long time. So that's a good thing about when you're using loop bands, they're usually cheaper in cost. Now, some of the cons when it comes to loop bands are that because you don't have those attachments, you're usually more limited in the exercises that you can do. So that's the thing about it when I say it's not really the most ideal for beginners, but you definitely want to work your way up to it. It's hard for you to really translate a person who lifts weights before into resistance bands without some type of instruction. But you can watch my channel, I'll give you some instruction on there. That's the thing when it comes to those loop bands is that those heavy lifts are great, but the variety of exercises just usually isn't there for the loop bands, but they're definitely necessary. Now also, this is something that's a big gripe with Mrs. Disciplined Dave. Because there is no handles, they can be very rough on the hands, especially if you're lifting heavy, where you develop those calluses and stuff like that. And Mrs. Disciplined Dave doesn't like it when my hands are nice and rough when we're holding hands. Yes. She really hates it when my hands are rough. But anyways, so if you're not using any type of gloves, you definitely want to use gloves when it comes to using loop style bands. And this is really going to help make it so that you don't develop those calluses on your hands. So it's a minor con, but it's a con that I want to mention when it comes to using loop style bands. Ooh, I left out one major thing. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're liking everything you hear right now, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button. All right, now let's talk about the pros of the tube bands. Now, one of the biggest pros when it comes to tube bands is the variety of exercises that you can do. There is no limit to the exercise that you can do with the tube style bands. And these are the bands that come with handles. So if you got a partner out there, they would really love it if you use the tube style because it won't be so rough on your hands. And they usually have great grip to them, especially if you're gonna get some good quality bands. In addition, if you're a person who's just transitioning from lifting weights to going to resistance bands, everything's gonna connect a lot easier because with the handles and the door anchor, many exercises that you're used to doing in the gym, you can really do them the same way with resistance bands. So it's really great for beginners in that intermediate level there because you can connect just very quickly with what you did in the gym. And with that said, when it comes to the gym, adding resistance and tracking that or lowering resistance is gonna be a lot easier on the tube style bands because they're usually gonna have markers on there when it comes to the resistance level, whether it be weights or kilograms, things like that. Now, I don't think those numbers are the most accurate. That's a whole nother story. I have a video all about that, so go ahead and check that out there. But it does make it so that you can track it easier. So that's another reason why the tube style bands can be a pro for many of you users out there. Now, when it comes to leg exercises, I find that there's way more variety of leg exercises that you can do with tube style bands. With the loop style bands, it's pretty much squats are gonna be the major thing there, which is great because you can do it very heavy on loop style bands, but there's so much more variety from leg extensions and lunges and stuff like that when it comes to using those tube style bands. And then you have those ankle straps that can really help you out too with doing even more for working out your glutes and things like that. So the variety of exercises just go on and on and on when it comes to the tube style bands. Now, one of my favorite muscle groups to work out is my chest. And the thing I really like about the tube style bands is that I can hit my body at different angles. So I can really get like my upper, middle, and lower chest, and not just with my chest, with other muscle groups too. So because you have that anchor or door anchor in most cases that comes with the tube style bands, you'll be able to hit your body in just various different angles. Now let's move on to the cons of tube style bands. Now, because you have all these attachments, these handles, carabiner hooks, ankle straps, door anchor, it's going to be a little bit more things you got to keep track of when you travel. I don't find them the best when it comes to travel, but if that's all you have, I mean, just work with what you have, but it's not going to be easier than loop bands to travel with because you have all this equipment there with you. Now, another con is that when you're looking to get good quality tube style bands, and you definitely want good quality ones, and I'll explain here in a minute there, it can be higher in cost. So good quality tube style bands, they're kind of hard to find because you can really be suckered in by going on Amazon and you can find them at like as low as $14. I would not recommend doing that because I'm a person, if you look at my channel, I'm always doing workouts with resistance bands. So I've seen it all. I've had carabiner hooks break on me. I've had handles crack on me. I've had bands snap on me. Oh! So when you're going cheap on those tube style bands, because you have so many different parts and things going on there, it can really affect you in your workout and ruin your weekend if you have something that breaks on you. So you really have to get good quality. The cost can be a bit higher on there. Now, I did a video reviewing all the best bands that I tried last year, and these are absolutely the best there, and it gives you more of an informed decision. So go ahead and check out that video of my resistance bands review of 2021 so you can see what bands that I recommend. And in there, I have loop style bands and tube style bands. The bands that I like to use are by Toro Bands, and they actually have a great deal going on right now. I'll put a link in the description, but they're normally $200. So that's what I mean by the cost can be a little bit higher on the tube style bands. But if you're watching this video, you're a subscriber, if you click the link in the description, they're doing $100 off just for people who are watching this video. So go ahead and click the link in the description because you'll just get them for $99.99. So go ahead and do it while the offer's still going on. The Toro bands are the ones that I really like to enjoy to use when it comes to the tube style bands. Now, here are my final thoughts. What do you need to buy? So to be honest with you, you're going to need both because there's some exercises that are going to be way more effective with loop bands than there are on tube style bands. Then there's going to be exercises that are more effective on tube style bands than it is on loop style. You want to look at these as tools to get you to the right place you need to be to get into the best shape of your life, okay? So We don't really need to look at better or worse. We need to look at what tool do I need to work out the muscle I can to get the best results. And sometimes it's gonna be loop and sometimes it's gonna be tube. And I want you to remember, it's not about the bands itself, it's about the person using the bands. So that's gonna be way more important. So no matter what bands you use, if you're not using them effectively, if you're not using good form and good technique, you won't get results. Now, what do I use mostly? To be honest with you, I mostly use tube style bands, but I definitely use loop style also. But if you're asking me what if I only had one choice, if I'm a beginner out there, I would start off with tube style bands, but you definitely want to get loop style bands. Like there's some exercises like I was talking about before, like squats, that are going to be way better on loop style bands. And I have a lot of different exercises that will show you how to use each of those bands properly. So after you're done with this video, I want you to go ahead and check out these two videos next. One video is my review of the bands, the best bands of 2021, and the other ones are the bands that I use mostly on a daily basis. So go ahead and check out those two. And if you're looking for workouts, check out those playlists and you can go ahead and see how to use these bands and work out properly. Now go ahead and click the videos. Thank you for watching.